At my father's funeral, before they'd even lowered the casket into the ground, my sister's husband stood up and announced, "All the inheritance, every penny of the $6 million, should go to my wife. She's the oldest child." My sister smiled like she'd already won. What they didn't know, she wasn't legally Dad's daughter. And what happened next destroyed them both. Because when greed meets karma, somebody always pays. My name is Daniel Pierce. I'm 43. And this is how my sister's greed cost her everything. The funeral home was packed. Dad had been a successful real estate developer in Phoenix. Owned commercial properties across Arizona. Even at 72, he was still closing deals. I stood next to Mom at the front greeting people, accepting condolences, trying to process that Dad was actually gone. Heart attack on the golf course. Dead before the ambulance arrived. My sister Rachel, 8 years older than me, showed up late. As usual, she walked in with her husband Tyler. He was 34. She was 51. They'd gotten married less than a year ago after she brought him home out of nowhere. No dating period anyone knew about. Just, "I'm getting married at 50 years old." Tyler was good-looking in that gym rat way. All muscles and teeth. But lazy as hell and obviously only interested in one thing: money. Rachel had been bleeding Dad dry from the moment they got engaged. Wedding costs. Car payments. Rent. Always asking for more. Dad had been furious but kept paying. I think he hoped she'd eventually grow up. She never did. The service was beautiful. People shared stories about Dad. His business partner cried. Mom held my hand so tight I lost circulation. Then came the reception at Mom's house. That's when everything went sideways. What happened next shocked everyone in that room. Keep watching. We were barely through the door when the lawyer showed up. Richard Morrison. Dad's estate attorney for 20 years. "I know the timing isn't ideal," Richard said quietly. "But given the complexity of the estate, we should discuss the will sooner rather than later." Mom nodded, exhausted. "Let's get it over with." We gathered in Dad's study. Me, Mom, Richard. That's when Rachel and Tyler burst in. "We should be part of this," Rachel announced. Tyler stood behind her like a bodyguard. Arms crossed. Smirking. Richard looked uncomfortable. "Well, this is really for immediate family." "Rachel is immediate family," Tyler interrupted. "She's the oldest child." "Which means..." He paused for effect. "All of Dad's assets, including the $6 million in stocks and cash, should go to her." The room went silent. Mom's face went pale. I felt my jaw drop. Rachel was beaming. Actually beaming at her father's funeral, while demanding his entire estate. "We did it, babe," Tyler said, fist-bumping her. "We're set for life." Richard cleared his throat. "I'm afraid it doesn't work that way." "Of course it does," Tyler cut him off. "She's the oldest. That's how inheritance works. Firstborn gets everything." "That's not how it works at all." I finally found my voice. "And even if it was..." "Stay out of this, Daniel," Rachel snapped. "This is between me and Mom." "Actually," Richard said firmly, "this concerns everyone. And I need to clarify something immediately." He looked at Rachel. "You're not entitled to any inheritance." The truth that came out next destroyed my sister completely. "Don't go anywhere." Rachel laughed. "That's ridiculous. I'm his daughter." "No," Richard said quietly. "You're not." The room froze. "What?" Rachel's smile vanished. "You're not Mr. Pierce's biological child." Tyler's face went from smug to furious in half a second. Rachel looked like she'd been slapped. Mom closed her eyes. Started crying. "I'd known this my whole life. Dad told me when I was 16. Rachel was from Mom's first marriage. Dad had raised her as his own, but they'd never legally formalized the adoption. Apparently, nobody had bothered to tell Rachel." "Mom!" Rachel's voice cracked. "What is he talking about?" "You're from my first marriage," Mom whispered. "Before I met Robert. He raised you. Loved you. But legally. But I'm still family." Rachel's voice rose to a shriek. "He always called me his daughter." "He intended to adopt you," Richard explained. "But as you got older, your behavior concerned him. The spending. The entitlement. He kept delaying it." Tyler's face had turned an alarming shade of red. You lied to me, he snarled at Rachel. You said you were going to inherit millions. I thought I was. Rachel shot back. So you have nothing? Tyler looked genuinely disgusted. I married you for. He stopped himself. But the damage was done. Everyone in that room now knew exactly why he'd married my 51-year-old sister. Gets so much worse. You won't believe what they did next. Can we please just read the will? I said, exhausted. Richard nodded and pulled out the document. It was straightforward. Everything split between me and Mom. The properties, the stocks, the cash, all of it. Rachel got nothing. There was even a section explaining why. Dad had written it himself. I love Rachel as if she were my own blood. But her inability to manage money, her constant demands, and her treatment of her brother have shown me she's not ready for this responsibility. Perhaps one day she will be. But not now. Rachel was shaking with rage. This isn't fair. I'm the oldest. I deserve something. You got plenty, I said coldly. Dad paid for your wedding, your car, your rent for years. How much did you burn through? 50,000? 100. That was nothing compared to what you're getting. Tyler stood up abruptly. Kelly, we're leaving. Don't come back until you have money. What? Rachel looked genuinely shocked. I didn't marry you to be poor, he said bluntly, pushed past her and walked out. Just like that. 30 seconds after learning she was broke, he abandoned her. Rachel stood there in shock, then turned her fury on Mom. This is your fault. Why didn't you adopt me legally? You ruined my life. She lunged at me. You poisoned Dad against me. It should have been mine. Richard calmly pulled out his phone. Rachel, if you don't leave immediately, I'm calling the police. She froze, maybe remembering her shoplifting arrest from a few years back. This isn't over, she hissed at me, then stormed out. I thought that was the end of it. I was so wrong. What my sister did next almost killed me. Literally. Stay with me. The inheritance process went smoothly. Richard was efficient. Rachel complained but couldn't do anything about it. Mom gave Rachel $10,000 out of pity. I didn't comment. She's still her mother. But Rachel and Tyler disappeared with the money within a week. Typical. Life moved on. I focused on work. My wife Sarah and I had been talking about getting a bigger house. With the inheritance, it was actually possible now. One evening I took Mom, Sarah, and our daughter Emma out to dinner. Mom had been withdrawn since Dad's death. But Emma, 8 years old and adorable, made her smile. Mom, why don't you move in with us? I suggested. We're buying a bigger place anyway. I appreciate it, Daniel. But Rachel still drops by sometimes. If I move, she might cause problems. I understood. Rachel only showed up when she needed money. But she was still Mom's daughter. Just think about it, I said. I drove Mom back to the house. The family house where I grew up. As we pulled into the driveway, I noticed lights on inside. Is Rachel here? I asked. She might be, Mom said nervously. I parked in the garage. We all got out. Suddenly a car came screaming out of nowhere. Headlights. Engine roaring. Heading straight for us. Daddy! Emma screamed. I shoved Sarah and Emma out of the way. The car clipped me. Sent me flying into a flower bed. Pain exploded through my shoulder as I hit the ground. The car smashed into the garage entrance. Stopped. Everything was chaos. Sarah and Emma crying. Mom screaming. Through the pain I saw who was driving. Tyler. They tried to kill me for the inheritance. And what I did next destroyed them both. The hospital. Ambulance. Hospital. Overnight observation. Fractured collarbone. Severe bruising. Lucky to be alive. The police came. Tyler claimed he mixed up the gas and brake pedals. Bullshit. The next day Rachel visited. Tyler stood behind her looking guilty. You're tougher than you look, Rachel said coldly. No apology. No concern. Just that. If I died, Mom would have inherited my share, I said, watching her face. Rachel's expression didn't change. Too bad you didn't. There it was. Confirmation. Mom's waiving her inheritance rights, I continued. Passing everything to Sarah and Emma. So even if you'd killed me, you'd get nothing. Rachel's face went white. What? I made a will. Gave everything to my wife and daughter. Your plan was always doomed to fail. Tyler looked furious. Rachel looked desperate. Can't you give me something? She begged. There's $6 million. I'm your sister. No. Her face twisted with rage. She grabbed my hospital gown collar. Give me half. I deserve it. Nurses rushed in. Security dragged her out screaming. Mom came back looking heartbroken. Where did I go wrong with her? She whispered. I had no answer. But it wasn't over. What they did to Mom was even worse. A month later, Mom fell ill. Nothing serious at first. Just weak. Tired. Sarah and I started helping her. Grocery shopping. Cleaning. Doctor appointments. That's when Rachel called me. We'll take care of Mom from now on. You don't need to come over anymore. What? Why? It's already decided. She hung up. I called Mom. She confirmed Tyler had some caregiving experience. She seemed okay with the arrangement. I was skeptical but didn't want to cause drama. Big mistake. 3 weeks later, Mom was rushed to the hospital. Medication error. Wrong dosage. She looked terrifyingly frail. I raced to the family house while Sarah stayed with Mom. The place was destroyed. Dishes piled in the sink. Trash everywhere. The fridge was empty. Mom loved cooking. Always kept a full fridge. This was wrong. I checked her accounts. $45,000 withdrawn. Almost all her living expenses gone. The inheritance account was safe in a deposit box. But her personal money had been drained. I found her bank card in the safe where she always kept it. With her PIN written on a note. Someone had stolen it. Copied the PIN. Cleaned her out. I brought her card to the hospital. Mom, did you give Rachel your bank card? No. Why would I? Someone withdrew $45,000. Mom looked devastated. And the medication error. Who prepared your pills? Long pause. Tyler did. My blood went cold. They weren't just stealing from her. They were killing her. And I was about to make them pay. I moved Mom in with us immediately. Filed a police report about the theft. They investigated but couldn't prove who'd accessed the account without camera footage. I hired a lawyer. Started building a case. But Mom never recovered. The medication error. The stress. The betrayal by her own daughter. It broke her heart literally. 6 weeks later she died. Peacefully. Sarah holding one hand. Me holding the other. When I returned to the family house to collect her things for the funeral, I found it had been ransacked. Every valuable item gone. Jewelry. Collectibles. Dad's watch collection. Rachel and Tyler had stripped the place bare. I stood in that empty house and felt something shift inside me. Grief turned to rage. Cold. Focused. Determined. They'd stolen from Mom. Poisoned her. Let her die alone and afraid. Now they'd pay. The lawyer's office confrontation destroyed them completely. Watch what happens. After Mom's funeral, Richard called a meeting. To discuss your mother's estate, he said. Rachel showed up grinning. Finally. Mom's money is mine. I'm her biological daughter. I almost laughed. We sat down in Richard's conference room. Let's see what Mom left, Rachel said smugly. Richard opened the will. Rachel's face drained of color as he read. Rachel Pierce is entitled to nothing. All assets pass to Daniel Pierce. What? Rachel exploded. That's impossible. I'm her daughter. Your mother changed her will 3 weeks before she died, Richard explained calmly. She was very clear. Tyler slammed his fist on the table. This is bullshit. Give us the money. There is no money, I said coldly. What do you mean no money? Rachel looked panicked. After we deduct the $45,000 you stole, plus the value of all the items you took from the house, there's almost nothing left. That's not, we didn't. I have bank records. Timestamps. Security footage from the pawn shop where you sold Dad's watches. Rachel's face went white. You can't prove we took anything, Tyler said, but his voice shook. Actually, I can. And I'm pressing charges. For what? Tyler sneered. Taking care of an old woman costs money. Then show me the receipts, I said. Every dollar you spent on Mom's care. I'll reimburse you. Silence. No receipts? Then it's theft. Tyler's expression changed. Became pleading. Come on, Daniel. Rachel's your sister. Help her out. Just a little. No. His mask dropped completely. If everything had gone according to plan, Kelly would have had it all by now, he muttered. I leaned forward. What plan? What? Nothing. I just meant. You meant you expected me to die in that accident. Then Mom would inherit. Then you'd kill her too and Rachel would get everything. Richard was recording. Tyler realized too late. I didn't say that. You just did. On tape. Which I'll be giving to the police. The ending will shock you. Justice was served. But not how you'd expect. Tyler was arrested that afternoon. During questioning, his previous criminal record came out. Assault. Fraud. Identity theft. With the recording as evidence, the DA charged him with attempted murder, elder abuse and grand theft. Rachel was charged as an accomplice. Lesser sentence but still serious. She tried calling relatives for help, money for a lawyer, a place to stay. Everyone refused. Word had spread about what they'd done to Mom. The trial was quick. Tyler got 12 years. Rachel got 4. I attended the sentencing. Looked Tyler in the eye as the judge read the verdict. He glared at me with pure hatred. Rachel just cried. I felt nothing. I'm sitting in my home office looking at a photo of Dad, Mom, and me from 20 years ago. Before Rachel brought Tyler home. Before the greed consumed everything. The inheritance is invested wisely. Sarah and I bought a modest house. Nothing extravagant. We set up college funds for Emma and her younger brother. I work the same sales job I've always had. The money sits there growing waiting for when we actually need it. I don't need millions to be happy. That was Rachel's mistake. She thought money would solve everything. Make her important. Validate her. Instead it destroyed her. Sometimes I think about visiting her in prison. Asking why. Understanding what made her so desperate. But I already know the answer. She spent 51 years comparing herself to me. The real son. The one Dad chose. She never understood that Dad would have loved her just as much if she'd let him. But greed is a poison. Once it gets in your blood, it's hard to get out. Tyler's still in prison. Rachel gets out in 3 years. I won't be there when she does. Some bridges once burned can never be rebuilt. If you made it this far, thank you for listening. This story taught me something important. Family isn't about blood. It's about loyalty. Rachel shared my mother's DNA. But she treated her like an ATM. Tyler married into the family. But he treated us like marks in a con. Neither of them understood what family actually means. Hit that like button if you believe actions matter more than words. Subscribe for more stories about karma, justice, and people getting exactly what they deserve. Comment below. Have you ever dealt with family members who only cared about money? How did you handle it? And remember, greed never wins in the end. The people who chase money usually lose everything else. Thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next story.